We begin with the latest on tensions between the U.S. and Russia, as military intelligence says Russian troop presence is growing on the Ukrainian border.
President Biden said today if Russian President Vladimir Putin decides to invade Ukraine, it would change the world.
There will be enormous consequences if he were to go in and invade, as he could, the entire country, or a lot less than that as well, for Russia, not only in terms of economic consequences and political consequences, but it'll be enormous consequences worldwide.
The president says his administration has no intention of putting American or NATO forces in Ukraine, but is looking at imposing sanctions on Russia. Tonight, our U.S.S.R spoke with a military expert who says it may be too late for diplomacy.
We could not stop a Russian invasion of Ukraine. It's impossible.
To understand the Ukraine and Russia tension, you have to go back to the beginning.
Ukraine has typically been part of the Russian Empire, and then with the rise of the U.S.S.R. in 1917.
Stephen Oluic is a retired Army lieutenant colonel, also a former professor and assistant dean at West Point. He's a military expert of Eastern Europe and the Middle East. The Iron Curtain, as it was called, was the political military boundary dividing Europe into two separate areas. He says the Soviet Union was dissolved and Ukraine and other small U.S.S.R. republics became independent. Ukraine was one of them, but they are not part of NATO. Ukraine wanted to dissolve the agreement, allowing Russia to be stationed there. The Kremlin decided to take Crimea and annexed it before this could happen.
Ukraine does not want to be part of Russia again. Is that correct?
No, Ukraine does not want to be part of Russia. Ukraine wants to be an independent state that's in control of its own destiny.
And invading Ukraine, says Oluic, has always been an option for Russia.
I don't think Russia's goal is to make Ukraine Russia. I think their goal is simply to keep it out of NATO.
And why are they specifically targeting Ukraine?
They also use it and see it as a buffer between Russia and the what are quickly becoming enemies to the West. I believe that that is their main goal, to keep that separation.
A separation that will keep the U.S. and NATO from having bases in Ukraine, possibly stationing strategic weaponry facing Russia.
Based on a long military history, visiting Russia, working with the Russians in the Balkans, is my opinion, given the rhetoric, given how their military is poised, how they're bringing troops right now, I think that they will invade. Whether they want to occupy the whole country, I don't know.
Lydia Spara, 3 News.